Hey everyone, welcome to special edition of a Wrap Up podcast. And today I have very special guest from Nvidia, Georgios Kolovos, Fintech and payments lead at Nvidia in the UK. And as you guys know, Nvidia GTS is just around the corner, and I wanted to record this episode to get special insights from people who are working in this industry and basically building in this industry. Georgios, welcome to Wrap Up podcast.
Thank you for having me in, Sam. I hope next time we make it in person.
Hopefully, looking forward to it. Okay, my first question would be why advanced AI teams or advanced AI now interested so much in fintech and payments? Why now? What's changed?
To be fair, nothing has changed. Payments has always been quite an innovative industry overall. When you look into where we operate as a payment industry today, there are three factors that, for me, accelerate a lot of the work that is happening. The first one, we are working in a world with much more data than ever before. I mean, just a simple example, we are moving from predominantly one single rail with cars, credit cards, to a multi-rail future. So this generates a lot of new data. Secondly, there's a lot more decisions and a lot more faster decisions that need to be done in different parts of the payments ecosystem. And thirdly, you think about the sentiments of the consumers. Consumers want very personalized, very smooth experience. So it's not a surprise that when you combine all these three factors, very quickly this justifies pretty much in any portion of the payments and fintech industry that AI and accelerated computing is quite highly demanded.
Well, what do you think? New AI models would change in the payments and fintech industry in the next several years in a meaningful way?
Yeah, so we are seeing a step change. So some of the most prominent fintechs and payment companies that are on the forefront of the innovation have already started doing a lot of that, which before was not necessarily possible because you didn't have the compute capacity to execute on some of that. But we are seeing a lot of companies investing in breaking silos. So payments is a fantastic industry, but it's also very complicated in a sense. Think about an e-commerce transaction, how many parties participate in these transactions. But even if you pick a single party, think about how many individual models are operated in for this particular part of the payment transaction. So now we're seeing companies breaking the molds, starting to cut across these silo models and connecting them all together. So you see some development happening in the world of what kind of the terms need to evolve even further. It's payment foundation models or transaction foundation models is one area we see a lot of involvement. And then the other area is obviously agentic commerce. It's such a fascinating. Agentic commerce is an area that still in a very early stage, see some very promising early insights and dynamics, but there's still so much unknown.
Absolutely. AI is not something new. I mean, in general, in payments and fintech, we had machine learning before like anything else. So I'm really curious. You just mentioned foundation models. What do they do differently than traditional machine learning models, like in terms of decision making, fraud, approval, and cost? How do they do different?
Yeah, I mean, think about, we don't need to scrap all the traditional machine learning. Actually, we need to build on top of that. And where we see companies starting doing a lot with these foundation models, typically it starts from the defense side of the organization. This being fraud or some of the compliance work or some of the underwriting. You pick about where you started with fraud, for example. So we see fraud evolving in an interesting way. So you start from traditional machine learning models. You accelerate them from CPU to GPU. So you have faster data processing, faster modeling, and then ultimately the ROI for this is much better. It's very clear because you save more. But this is just the first step to benefit from for this accelerated computing reality that we are living today. The next step is you start looking about interconnectivity, right? You see some companies start using graph neural networks, so you compare transactions to other in real time, and you deploy these fraud models faster. And foundation models are the next step of evolution of that, which is now you are leveraging all the great work that is happening on this fraud side. And rather than recreating another very advanced model in other parts of the organization, let's say, for example, personalization and some of that, you're leveraging this fraud work. We're using
Hmm.
tabular transformers to generate these payment foundation models, and you use the embeddings from these tabular transformer models not only to power fraud, but now power all the other steps and all the other siloed models that today operate independently.
Yeah. Look, inside the Nvidia, you guys work with different financial institutions, companies, banks, etc. Where do you see companies gaining the biggest gains? I mean, in the real world use case like conversions, cost reduction, putting efficiency, maybe cost saving. Where do you see the biggest gains?
So all company starters at kind of cost optimization has been the mantra for the last couple of years,
Right.
and fraud from that side, because of the ROI is very clearly to articulate, is where the early leads and successes were. But now we are moving to a phase that companies start thinking a little bit more holistically. It's not only
Okay.
about the application layer; it's about the full platform. So companies start putting a long-term plans around how do they manage their data. And actually, even the payment foundation models are how do you transfer your data into insights? Once you have the
Right.
insights, then you can power tons of different downstream use cases and Gen AI or agentic AI applications. Without you have been able to get these insights, is very limited impact. So we see a company start moving in an area that not only optimize for costs, but also
Okay.
start generating new products, start generating a lot of new growth. And again, linking into agentic commerce, imagine how powerful is you have a payment foundation model that you have connected all different parts of your operation. You
Okay.
can easily start predicting what is the next purchase of the customer. So potentially you can start initiating the agentic commerce activity directly on the base of these embeddings that will generate from the foundation models.
Right. You know, it's always good to look at the bright side of the things, but things never go as smoothly as expected, especially when you're working in financial industry, when the scale is so massive, companies process transactions in billions and trillions of dollars. So what do you think becomes difficult when you work at this scale? What are some of the challenges companies are facing?
Yeah. So first of all, the more data, the more
Okay.
complexity, the better the
Of
better
course.
the optimization, better the results are. So going back to GTC, in GTC we'll have Adyen coming and talking
Right.
to us about how they build a payment foundation model, and they have done it in about $1 trillion of transaction volume. So
Right.
it's phenomenal. So the scale is not a problem. The scale is a benefit because then you start looking into a lot more interesting interconnections. For me, there's two things, very simple, right? You need to
Right.
take very strategically. So you need to think about how AI is fully integrated in your strategy. It's not a side project. It's not
Okay.
an add-on to your existing strategy. AI need to be embedded into the strategy. So thinking about the
Right.
full stack from compute to data to insights, then to the application layer. And then
Sure.
the second thing is talent, right?
Right.
Um, so this is where I see companies that are more successful. They have a very clear vision about where they go as a business and how AI will help them to achieve this vision. And secondly,
Right.
then have the team to support that. And when I talk to team, it's not necessarily about quantity of people; it's the quality of the people that are able to use this new technology.
Right. You know, I had a chance to go through agenda of GTC, and I see some big names. One of them is Adyen, you mentioned. I also see Revolut, Barclays, and few others. What do you see? What do you think people joining GTC would learn? Why they should attend the event?
I'm sure it will not come as a surprise. So we have been very mindful about the way we curated the agenda. So we
Right.
wanted to focus the discussions around two topics. The first topic is the payment foundation models, and the second topic is agentic commerce. So as
Right.
mentioned, um, on the payment foundations model, we will have Adyen coming and talking on the acquiring side, and we will have Revolut coming and explaining what this foundation model and how they apply in the issuing side.
Right.
So in addition to that, actually, we also looked into beyond. So payments is a fascinating industry because it connects the financial services and tons of other industry like retail, travel, and hospitality. We also have companies like Shopify coming to talk about their version of foundation models, which they will present in the form of commerce foundation models. We'll have Shopee, we'll have a Coupang also coming
Right.
into. So this is if you want on the spot of agentic foundation models, and then on
Okay.
the agentic commerce side, we'll have PayPal coming, and we've done an interesting engagement with PayPal about how to use open models to generate, to start agentic commerce experience. And then we
Okay.
also have Tribe coming and talking about the topic that we touched with you earlier. In the world of agentic commerce, how does
Hmm.
fraud need to change? So
Of course.
our agenda has been very carefully curated around these two topics. And the good thing is that you don't necessarily need to travel to San Jose to join the event. And actually, the
Okay.
event has been already fully sold out. We expect to have
Okay.
about 25,000 people coming in
Huge
the
number.
event, but you can join online. And the good thing is the online is completely free.
Perfect, perfect. Georgios, thank you for jumping into this episode of Wrap Up Podcast and sharing all these insights. It was really, really helpful. I hope my audience also learned a lot about foundation models and what they can potentially get from GTC, Nvidia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.